Pew. Anybody else not finished?
Damn, y'all making me look bad.
Oh, Darlene didn't finish. That's why she's not here.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how far she got, but she didn't finish. What did
I
we
just
think?
finished today. I had to try really hard.
Me too.
Was that? I like it. It's Julie. I like it, but it's like the last chapter, especially. There's so many characters, and I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, that was hard to keep track of. I finished today too, but I was reading a little bit fast. I'm like, whoa, like I can't even begin to try to remember. And I hope everyone has a role, because if not, why did you read off?
Yeah.
I think there's a reason why he's covering all of these characters that I also could not keep track of. Like, I'm sure they're all going to be important in some way. I was listening to it and I was walking, and honestly, like I kept spacing out. I normally don't do that, but I think it was just because there were like so many characters that it was just like a little hard to process everything that was going on, and like you don't know what's going to be important, so you're just like, it's just like kind of all like this. But I mean, the most interesting was like what was going on with the man with the long fingers in the real estate office. To me, that was the most like, ooh. And then I think I mean, my theory about the people at the beginning is I think it's Floyd and the boy in the bar.
The police?
Like the guy who's like the boyfriend of the girl, because they said he was tall. And there's a boy in the bar, and the people in the beginning of the book are the tall man and the boy, and they're not related. So at first I thought that it would be, what's his name? The main guy, Ben? What's his name? Ben?
Ben.
I thought it might be him, but then they specifically called this other guy tall. So that's why I'm like, oh, maybe it's him.
I kept thinking it was Ben, because I think somehow he was talking about like the story and about the house or like something, and I felt like maybe like that was like the future, and now we're going into like how he went before or reverse. I don't know. I was getting confused a lot, but I was thinking maybe he wrote it from experience. And then people are like, oh, because there's a specific line where they were like, oh, is it real or is it not real? Like his stories. And I'm like, I feel like they're real. And they're just so crazy because of like what's happening in Salem's lot, like that they're like, this can't be real, but it is because it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely think Nan came back to write about it, and then I think it's going to come to life again. So we'll see. It was a good place to stop with when the kids got snatched. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But I wonder, maybe like they thought that they killed the dog too, if it's not the vampire people, if it's like a normal person. But yeah.
Yeah, plus Ben's an author and the guy is an author, so it probably is Ben, but
maybe it's
wondered.
not. That's a good point. I mean, maybe they're trying to fool us and be like, look, he's writing a book. There's this book about this, and then it was that whole like, there was 2 kids, right, that went into the woods. Only one came back. I'm thinking that one that came back is the one that's in the beginning.
Wait,
Right?
I thought they were both dead.
that's I was like, wait, did it say they came back?
At the end, it says the tall figure is only carrying one boy, though, huh? Not 2. So I wonder if maybe only one made it or they both died.
I don't know. It's all weird. And like you guys said, the characters, I was like, it kind of reminded me of The Shining, where they gave us history. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care about the history of the house. But then like towards the end of it, he's like tying it up with like, oh, the dog that died was Floyd's uncle and this and this. And I was like, oh, okay.
I have a question. So you know how there was the dog that was found at the cemetery gates?
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who did that. And I asked Corina, and she said it was either, you know, the guy that came to buy the properties from Larry, Straker. And I was like, well, one of the things that he told him that was part of their like 3 conditions was you have to do anything that I ask you to, and you can't tell anyone. So I was thinking maybe they asked him to kill the dog and say that ritual at the end. Because I can't figure out who did that. But then again, the gates are probably really tall. But I was just trying to figure out, and I couldn't.
Mhm.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think of that.
Oh, yeah,
I just thought it was the guy that was buying all the stuff. He just seems sketchy, or not all the stuff.
definitely, yeah.
He's like, oh, this is my condition, and for a
I
dog.
liked that part because in Dracula, there's also a part where they're buying a property, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like that.
Mm,
Were you guys
Yeah,
able
it's
to-
interesting. We don't
you
know
guys
like
able
what
to-
they were doing. So it could have been that guy. Because we only checked in with them like one time during the day. So it
Mhm.
could have
Yeah.
been him. We don't know what they were doing in the different hours.
Yeah.
which I think is cool because, I mean, at this specific time, there's multiple people doing all these things, you know? Obviously, we only know what we're doing. And I kind of like that that Stephen King did that and put the perspective of like the whole day of different characters.
Mhm.
I
I was
thought it was weird how at first it was like death, 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 and then it just kind of disappeared. I was like, oh, I thought everyone was just gonna like die. Like there was like something like pew, 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 your turn, you know? But I guess not.
the part with the where it said like all the times and all the different characters. I did think because I think at like a chapter or two before it said something about nothing bad could happen in this town.
Mm.
I was wondering if Stephen King is setting up like this kind of visual and idea of like what their normal lives are, and then soon everything's gonna get wrecked. To kind of give a sharp contrast.
Mm.
I was thinking that might be another purpose to introduce all those characters and just, you know, so many anecdotes of their little pieces of their lives that we were seeing.
They were all just so different. It was interesting.
I was confused. Like, do we know how far in the future the prologue was with the boy and the man in Mexico?
I don't
Or
remember in the article if they said, because the article was kind of covering what happened in the town, but I don't remember if the article said like a year ago they vanished. I thought it like, do you guys remember it saying anything about the timing? I don't think it did.
No.
There's some dates, but I think I remember like 1920 something, and then it goes to like 19 something. Like,
I think the book
Well,
is set
'cause-
in 70s-ish.
well, because I assumed that was in the future. Because like the
Me too.
town's still there and there's still people,
Yeah.
unless like, yeah.
That's what I assumed also. I assumed that we were now flashing back to when the
Mhm.
town before the vampires came.
Yes, I was kind of expecting like something to maybe happen at the end of that last chapter.
Also for Mirn and the part where he was a little boy and he went into the house. Does anyone think he saw a vampire there? Because it was several years after the original owner died. I think like maybe he saw a vampire there instead, and that's why he keeps having dreams. And I wonder, it said something about the snow globe in the beginning, right? I feel like it did.
Yeah,
He
I
still
feel like
has
it
it.
did too. I
up the
couldn't remember though.
Yeah, I
Oh.
tried to go back to look for it, but I couldn't find it. I'm like, I feel like this was mentioned that he randomly has a snow globe. But I wonder, because then he has the dream and the door is locked. I wonder if I guess I wonder like who are the vampires and what types of powers do they have compared to other vampires that we know? Because I think that's gonna be like that'll dictate how hard it is for the people to fight back against the vampires.
wait a minute, there's fucking vampires?
I think so. Sorry.
That's what
Yeah.
I said. I was like, how do you guys know there's vampires?
Yeah, because
don't.
like from what I remember, like I mean,
Spoiler alert, sorry. I don't know how I know. I
I
think
thought it was pitched as the vampire book.
I thought
So
so
I knew.
Okay, thank you, Paula. I was like, oh no, did I give it?
No, you
Because,
did pitch.
I
You
mean-
did pitch it as that, but I don't think we've gotten anything saying that there is like
Yeah.
nothing defined. So I'm
I
with
mean-
you, Crystal.
Yeah, The Shining didn't say anything. Like there were spirits, like they believed in
Mhm.
spirit, right? Because Danny went and saw like the woman or whatever. It was like her spirit
Yeah.
stayed with the building.
Yeah.
So I mean, I only read the first part of the book, but I mean, from what I saw, I kind of saw something like very similar. Like, oh, his spirit is with the house. That's why he keeps envisioning it.
Mm.
And I think maybe like that's why he like when he dreams it, the door is locked. I thought the door was locked behind him. Like he was inside and he saw him hanging and he turned around and the door was locked.
I think that did happen because it mentioned it somewhere.
But in the
Yeah.
dream, I thought he tries to go into the room, but the door is locked. That's
He
why
al-
I was
that
wondering.
also-
No, he like pulled it. I remember because I just finished reading that. It said like he used all the energy, like all his force that he could possibly have, and he opened it, and that's when he saw the
Mhm.
body hanging. But when he
Okay,
turned
mhm.
back, he ran back down. Is how he told the girl. Well, I forgot.
Mhm.
But then when later on that night when he dreamt it, he was in the room, but when he turned back, the door was locked.
Ah, okay, thank you. I misread it then. But yeah, I think I am probably a little biased because I'm just like impatient for the vampires to come out already. Honestly.
And start a laundromat business, right? 'Cause they bought a laundromat for some reason.
Well, they're gonna do the antique furniture.
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
you're
I
right,
was
the
thinking that's
antique
when they're gonna like snatch their people since the house is already haunted and it's sparsely
Yeah, I
populated.
don't think they're really selling antiques. I kind of doubt
It's
it.
antique coffins.
But
Yeah.
what if those antiques are like haunted and if you buy it, you like become possessed. So then you willingly go and be taken by a vampire as opposed to just
What?
Mm.
Ooh.
spirit.
That's
I
why
think you put it in your house and then you turn. And you
Yeah.
go to the Marston house.
Or like somehow the
Oh.
antique has like the power to allow a vampire to go in. I don't know much about
Mm.
vampires. I don't know if there was a rule where you have to invite them. I have no
It's
idea.
in True Blood. I don't know if it's in any other
Oh.
vampire thing.
Okay. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know why my brain is thinking of that. Maybe it's Vampire Diaries.
Oh,
But
I think
they
it was
were-
that too. It was
Right?
that too. Yeah,
Right?
Vampire
Okay,
Diaries
okay,
and True
cool.
Blood. You had to be invited in.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
go. See, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
crazy.
See, there's all these rules that came out in Dracula, and that's why I'm wondering like how similar these will be or not, because the ones in Dracula, like, you know, they have certain powers or certain restrictions, and I'm just wondering like if Stephen King is going to adopt all of those or if he's going to do his own thing. I'm reading the inside front cover of my book too, and the last line says, "You will never forget the town of Salem's lot, nor any of the people who used to live there." So maybe there is a purpose with all those characters. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens, and I just want to know like when the vampires are going to come out. And I want to know which kid was snatched and if one was survived too, because out of all the characters, the most similar ones were Ralphie and what was the other one, Danny? To me,
Danny.
because it happened to me a few times when I was younger that I was invited places and I could not go unless my sister also came. So when they were going through the woods and there was all the twigs, I'm like, yeah, my sister will be the one to get me in a situation like that.
Does
and
anyone
Ben,
think? Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Ben made some comment like when he went to the dinner at the girl's family's house, he was like, I'm not gonna walk through the woods because I want to have a clear conscience before dinner. So that was a weird comment. Did anyone else pick up on that?
I did not.
I did not.
Like,
Mm.
is he
I
saying
remember
he
him
does
saying something
something?
like that. I don't remember him. I thought it was just like, I don't remember the woods part though. Was it not just like going on a walk, or did he actually say the woods?
I thought he didn't
Mm.
go so that he wouldn't feel guilty about not writing.
But I was thinking
Yeah,
like,
that's
I don't
it.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay. I thought he was implying like something was happening on his walks or something. But yeah, maybe you're right, just the writing.
But maybe that is the case, you know, maybe if he goes out to the forest or the woods or his walk, he does something. I don't know.
Or
I didn't think about that.
There's also
things.
Yeah. There's also the part where they mention in the newspaper the devil worshippers. So I think if things start to happen, they're gonna think it's them first, and maybe they're gonna be too slow to realize like there might be something more nefarious going on.
I was wondering what you guys thought of Ben and Susan. Is that her name? Susan? Because I think I don't really like either of them. And also their relationship is confusing to me. I guess it's the 70s and things are different, but like they're making plans and they've hung out like twice.
Wasn't it just one day where they had met? They're like, oh hey, let's go get ice cream. Oh my gosh, I like you. Let's go have dinner. Oh wait, you want to meet my parents? Like I know she lives with
Yeah.
her parents, so like if you go to her house, like they're gonna be there and you're gonna meet them. But it's too quick. So for me, it's a red flag.
Yeah, are we
sure.
supposed to are we supposed to empathize with them or think that it's strange? Or think that like they're both kind of living vicariously through the other. Like he's kind of like trying to forget about his wife, his ex-wife, and she's trying to get a ticket out.
Yeah. I think I want to say that he probably wants us to root for them because of that, like the ex-wife, and then she's like, well, I've been with him, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be with him forever. Was it Floyd? But he sounds like if he finds out, Ben should be worried.
Right, right? Because they kind of say like, oh, he's not gonna like it if he finds out.
And I don't know who that guy was. He's like, no, I'm not gonna tell him. Let him find out by himself. And it's like, oh, because he knows like that's not good.
Bartender, right? Let me see. I think I have the name up here.
Yeah.
Albert Markey, owner and bartender.
Yeah.
And then it says like he can find out by himself or something, and he tells him the other news instead. I first thought Susan was like a teenager or like a tween, So I was kind of like freaked out at the beginning, and it was until later I'm like, okay, I guess she's an adult. But I do think the age difference is interesting, just because they also just met and it seems to be progressing quickly. But I think I know one of my professors at Poly, like she married her professor, and when she told us, because he was an author and we read his book in class, he came in to do an author talk to our class, and she was just like telling us about how they met. And when she told us, we were kind of like, oh, and she goes like, oh, things like that happened back then, it was okay, and it's not like right now. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's just interesting.
How old is Susie or Susan?
He's
Because
a college grad, so she's probably like early 20s, I would say. And he's
okay,
25 plus 9, 30 something,
34?
34.
Because I think the mom or someone said, she's like, oh well, she's 18 and over, and I was like, wait a second, like she sounds fairly young, but then she's talking like she's not that young. So I don't know.
I feel like she's like early 20s.
I thought it was interesting when she had that argument with her mom.
Yeah.
She was like acting very childish, kind of crazy. I was like, oh damn. But then when
Well,
she's with Ben, she's acts totally different.
Yeah, I think that's why there was like that age discrepancy that I'm like, how old are you again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like a teenager.
Yeah.
That's why it seems insincere, because she's like trying to front when she's with him, like, and act a certain way. But then when she's with her mom, you're right, she's acting like kind of childish and kind of, I don't know, like just very hurt by everything, which it could be totally valid, but it does seem like she's acting very different with him than she is with her parents. And it just makes the relationship seem even more like weird.
I'm wondering, and someone mentioned something earlier, and I can't remember who. And it kind of regards to the powers that vampires have. And if Ben is a vampire, could one of their powers be like to be very charming? Because I remember that was how it was in Mexican Gothic with that. The son of the dad, he was like very charming or something. So I wonder if, assuming Ben is like, because I mean, he even charmed the dad.
Instantly. Yeah,
Yeah.
Not the mom.
that's
But
true.
not the mom.
Yeah.
She ate garlic.
I've read books where vampires either have like this, like the charm, and like it's like is one of their powers where they can like make people do what they want in like a subtle sense. But then there's also ones that I've read that are like they can go into your mind
Mind
and
control.
like
Yes,
control your mind.
hypnotism.
If you look in their eyes for
Mhm.
some.
Mm.
I'm feeling more and more like the idea that Rico brought up about the antique shop. Like, I feel like that makes so much sense. Like, have them buy an antique and then somehow it like mind controls them, or it lets them come into the house, or
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
because I feel like them just coming in the antique shop and them taking them is like maybe too easy. Like, it's not as interesting. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe it would be more fun if it was the other way. There was
Yeah,
something when you bought the item, or
it would be obvious if people see them go into the shop and then they never come out. Then the shop is
yeah.
You
And I don't
never
think
come
they're done.
out.
Maybe it's like
Yeah.
Beetlejuice when they have a door that takes them to a whole nother realm.
I haven't seen Beetlejuice in a while.
What?
I have never seen it, so
I haven't seen it either. I've been to a Beetlejuice bar, but I've never seen Beetlejuice.
She
I remember
What
seeing
the
it when I was
heck?
younger, but I was too young to
It's on
understand it.
TV. It's on TV constantly.
I know. You know what? I need to watch it this month because it's Halloween.
I'll
Mhm.
rewatch it. I don't remember anything that happens in it, but I saw when I was little.
well, they get sorted after they die, and they go into this whole like it's literally like a door in the attic, and they go into this thing, and they're like they wait at reception, and it kind of assigns them like something to haunt.
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like Monsters Inc.
Uh-huh.
You go into the doors, this is yours.
But the guy did say they're gonna try to get like tourists to go to the antique shop. So maybe if they just take the the tourists, like the townspeople might not catch on.
Mm.
Those people are somewhat
Mm,
easily missing because people wouldn't know them as well. But does anyone get the vibe that like the town is actually like tourist worthy? Because I so far haven't really like felt that. So I wonder like
Oh,
but the mall, right, that they're trying to build, maybe that's what it's gonna be in the future. Like people are gonna come with the mall.
Maybe that was just
If it's
his
a bunch of small
ruse, like
towns.
his like, oh, I'm gonna build this, but by then you'll be dead, so there will be nothing.
It's in Maine, right? Maine?
Maine?
Is that where it is? I just got the sense it was a small town, so I'm wondering like if they're actually trying to get tourists, or maybe that's just what they're saying they're gonna do to help the town. I don't know.
I
I
was trying to
definitely don't
picture
trust the word out of that guy's mouth. So who knows what they're like. I think everything he said was just manipulation. So
Yeah.
I
I
was
think
trying
he
to
clearly thinks
picture.
he's above everyone because he was just like laughing at him anytime he
like-
said anything.
It was like, oh,
Yeah.
and then he would talk. So I was trying to picture this place in my head, and I was reading the part where it was describing the northwest, the northeast, the southeast, southwest, and and then like in the middle, I guess it's the main roads. What are they? Can't remember them, but there's like a yellow light or something. Were you guys able to kind of like picture it and kind of picture where the Maston house is? Because I feel like that's gonna play a key role at some point, like it did with the fire. Like it said, when there was the fire, the wind was blowing east, I think, or west.
Mm.
And then the only persons who did something, they were able to create like a barrier to make the fire go south. So I feel like the map was like its own thing, and it's gonna somehow play a role in the book. I
So it
can't,
should draw
I didn't really picture it.
We should make a sketch. I feel maybe it will play a role because I think this book is going to make a big deal about like the town itself, and maybe the townspeople coming together, maybe people from different neighborhoods. And I think that maybe that's another reason there was so much characterization with all those people, because they were kind of like from all over, right? There was the person in like the somewhat decent house that their husband was a mechanic. There was the guy in the dumpster that was, or the dump that was shooting the rats and being just a little strange. And there were the school kids. So it's like highlighting people from all different parts of the town society. And the lady that was beating up her baby, that was terrible.
And she was gonna,
Oh,
Mhm.
That's
I
why
almost
I lit-
forgot about that one. Ugh.
yeah, that's when I felt like everyone was just gonna like die. But
Mm.
then it just, I think it stopped after that one.
Yeah.
I couldn't really like totally visualize it, although I do think that he said all those things for a reason. I just like thought of the Marston house as like in the outskirts of town on a hill, but like I couldn't, but he said all these other things that I didn't really visualize. But I mean, it must not be, I feel like I get a sense that the town is really small though, because all these people could like look at other people and
Yeah.
like could see like the Marston house from their house, and
Yeah.
it seems really, really small.
yeah, because I think the house overlooks all the other houses. And then there's that lady who has a phone next to her with binoculars. That was pretty. It reminds me of my
She's
tia, one of my or my aunts.
You're-
Like she doesn't have the binoculars, but she always has the like not even a cell phone, it's a house phone, always in cheese, man.
Always waiting for the news.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or
it's
she would
interesting
use-
that all of them were, I mean, it's a small town, so they were like, oh, did you see the author? Did you see
Uh-huh.
that? I'm just like, wow, of course.
He was with like super dramatic. Yeah, that reminds me of Hollister. What
Yeah,
else?
so it seems like the vampires are gonna have to be like either really good at mind control or really sneaky to
Mhm.
be able to, because everyone knows everyone else's business.
Mhm.
And it's
Right.
a small town, so
Mhm.
Or really fast.
yeah.
I was also wondering like who the other partner of Straker is, and I wonder if there even is another partner, like maybe it's just him. And if there is another partner, I wonder if he'll ever come out. Like I wonder if Straker is a vampire and the partner is the real vampire because he doesn't come out because he can't come out in the sunlight. Things like that. Or, you know, if it's just him by himself doing all these things.
I was thinking when he said partner, I was like, oh my gosh, a wife. I was like, no, business partner.
Wrong
And then-
book.
Yeah, I know. And then I think he mentioned he's like, oh, he and his, like he was saying he and him. And I was like, oh wow, change of events, LGBTQ. Okay. And I was like, no. I was
Not that
Well,
kind of partner.
definitely not, because
I
he
was
said the
like,
F word in the other scene. I was like, ugh.
yeah, no. Yeah. I was like, oh no, you are in the wrong. Go back to the actual book and stop going in like clouds and just like skimming through. It's like just to get what's going on.
So I just want to point out that Straker, if you take away the senior, the SR, it's Taker.
Oh,
Mm.
Take care of lives.
Mm.
Yeah.
oh, that's a good eye.
And then it's a SR, so he's a senior.
Because he's thousands of years old.
Yeah.
Senior Taker.
Well, that was my other thought, going back to the antique store. If they're going towards the vampires who are like old, like thousands of years or like hundreds of years, maybe it's just all their stuff. And they're just like selling it off. And they're like, that's how, like you guys said, that's how they're getting their invite into homes, because they're belongings.
Mm.
Because they're antiques.
Oh my
No, like,
god. Or
they're-
maybe they're killing people and then taking their antiques.
That's a good one.
I feel like they'd want their blood more than their.
They gotta make money too.
I mean, maybe.
Hold up though, that just like made me make a connection. Thank you, Katie, because doesn't the guy from the dump, he takes people's old stuff and tries to resell it as antiques? So maybe that's gonna be like the first character they interact with.
Oh,
Maybe they
yeah.
you know, maybe they're gonna go try to find stuff, or maybe I don't remember his name right now, but oh wait,
A new
Dud.
business partner.
Yeah, Dud maybe is gonna help them, especially since he seems kind of strange with the shooting the rats and all that and setting fires. I mean, maybe he becomes like their lackey. I don't know. And it says he's very strong too.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
maybe they'll use the dump and he'll see some fishy stuff.
Mhm.
Mm.
Where is the dump relative to that antique shop?
It doesn't really say.
Doesn't say.
It says it's beyond the cemetery, which is another good place to become a victim of a vampire.
We were introduced to several like areas, like there was like the mill, right? Or I don't remember, like the factory or something, and there's a cemetery, and then there's the schoolhouse, and then there's that bar, and I'm
Yeah.
forgetting stuff, but there was like a bunch of areas
The
that we've
school,
been
too.
introduced to.
I feel like there was three cemeteries that the guy had to take care of,
Mhm. He's like the head
the custodian of the cemetery.
custodian. Yeah.
Yeah, that part reminded me of like in Mexico when they lock up the cemeteries and they open them every morning. Last time I went, my mom and her sisters wanted to leave some flowers for my grandparents and the other people in our family that are there. But it was a festival day and the guy was closing early and he was like walking this way and we were like walking with the flowers, like, no, please open. It was funny. And we barely caught him, but then he was trying to go to the festival and to church, I think. But then as we were exiting, like 2 other family members were like rushing in with flowers at the last minute. I feel like there's just so much to go off of based on all the characters we've been introduced to and all the ways it can go. Because it's just a lot of information. And I think that's what I've seen in the other books that we've read in book club for Stephen King, at least. He does like a lot of setup and a lot of like, this is what the geography looks like, and this is the history of this. And then, you know, kind of like in The Shining, I feel like after like maybe the second and third reading, it started getting like pretty intense.
Don't think, well, I haven't, that's not true. No, actually, I was gonna say that I don't think I've read one of his books after he stopped doing all those drugs, but that's not true. I have read a book that 1963, which was like a few years ago, but I'm so like, I don't know how this guy has it in his brain to write such long books with so many details.
So much.
And write like one every year. I don't know how.
Yeah.
So Corina and
agree.
Corina and I were at the and Eileen were at the Sylvia
Moreno Garcia.
Moreno Garcia's author talk. And one of the things that I had asked Corina like weeks or months before in the past, I asked her, how do like the authors create these characters and how do they create all these like stories? And it was very interesting because someone asked her that when she was in the interview.
How she develops her characters.
Yeah, how do you develop your characters? And she said that she actually like talks to herself and she kind of like acts out the character.
She becomes
the character. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Because I mean, how else do you do that? Like just in your mind, you have to. Otherwise, you know, you might just create the same characters all the time. So, but
That's
I
interesting.
agree with you, like, because it's very, like, how do you do it?
Well,
Which
he
I
was
think-
definitely on a ton
cool.
of cocaine for a long time, but he hasn't been on it since like 1990 something. So he's still writing these long books. So it's in his brain, drugged out or not.
Yeah.
It's
The
just-
longest book I've ever read was It, and then Billy Summers was pretty long too. And I like them a lot.
he has a very big imagination. I
Yeah,
feel
and
like
like Rico was saying, like he's literally world building. Like he's like talking about the town and the geography and this
Yeah.
location and that location and this person's backstory and that person's backstory. And it's like
it's not like
crazy.
he's slacking off. Like he literally like devoting to every little tiny, so like it seems real. Not like, I feel like we've read other books where they kind of just brush off and you're like, wait, what?
The flicker in the dark where we were like, oh, did she look up how a psychologist prescribes
Oh
meds?
yeah. So, like that one. Yeah. There's a few that I'm just like, it's kind of just like baseline, and this one goes deep into like, this is a house, this is a location, this is that, and not
Mhm.
just one character. It's like
It transports you.
yeah. Which I feel like as I was reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, I do feel like I like his style because it's super descriptive. That yes, I start questioning like, why are you telling me this? I shouldn't care, but I should care because then he ties it in. I was like, oh my god, genius. Like wow, this is why you are well known. Anybody know when the movie or show or is coming out? Because I feel like it's recent, right?
I'm not sure. I think the movie has existed, but I'm looking at Rico's copy because it's the one I'm
Oh.
missing it.
There's a
I
movie.
think that they made one in the past, but they are making one soon.
Oh no, lies. Yeah, it says motion picture artwork 2022, Warner Brothers Entertainment Inc. So maybe they're remaking it because I'm pretty sure there's something already.
I thought there was something already. And I went to Barnes and Noble because I don't have a lot of local bookstores that stay open for long. Like they literally close by 4 or 5, and I'm like, hello, I'm really getting out of work.
Yeah.
So I went to go pick up my book, and I was like, let me just roam around, let me see the books, and I recognized some of ours. And then there's this big like little banner thingy that says, oh, like something action, like they're going to be movies or shows or whatever. And
Mhm.
this one was there, and I was like, wait, I thought it was already a movie.
Yeah.
I was
And if you look at the
confused.
style, I feel like it looks pretty modern
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's the one that I saw, and I was like,
Mhm.
wait, so it's new?
I got the big one so it could match my copy of The Shining.
That's cute. I really like the one I ended up with. It's just black.
That one looks creepy too.
Yeah, I like the writing here.
Mhm.
There's been several adaptations actually. There's a
Oh.
mini series.
Oh,
There was a sequel to the mini series. There was a TNT TV movie. It was in that Castle Rock show that like covered a lot of Stephen King things. And then now they're doing a full-on film adaptation that is going to be released next year
Oh wow, that'll be nice to watch.
with one of the guys from Top Gun.
Oh,
If you saw that, the one with the glasses.
I haven't seen it.
didn't they all have glasses?
No, this guy. I don't know if you saw Top Gun,
Oh,
but
yeah,
that guy.
yeah.
Bob.
I
His name was
haven't
Bob.
seen it.
Yeah, I was about to say the one that had like the basic name, and they just
The
kinda-
nerdy one.
Yeah, yeah.
They keep moving the Top Gun house in Oceanside. It's so funny. It's like near the pier and they keep just moving it.
Because of the ocean? Or-
No, like I don't know. I think one of the hotels bought it or I don't know. It's like a tourist thing. And they keep like just moving it near this hotel. It's just like plopped there near this brand new hotel than this like Top Gun house. I think it's a museum or something.
I have another question on the book. So in the very end, like the last lines, it says, I bring you this. And I'm wondering if within the town, there's vampires who, kind of like in Harry Potter, where there's followers for Voldemort. And they somehow are reviving
They're seeking immortality.
a dead vampire. Because, I mean, they brought the dog as a sacrifice. According to this, I bring you this at the cemetery.
But this is talking about one of the boys, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I thought it was the dog.
No, I think that's what look at it says stood with the figure of a child in his arms.
I
Oh,
thought it was the baby,
no. Oops.
Oh,
but now that you say child, you're right.
I was thinking it has to be one of the little boys because of the preceding wood scene. But that's why I was
Mhm.
wondering if both of
That
them got
makes
taken or only
sense.
one. And
I thought it was the dog.
no, the
Oops.
dog was before. I mean, it could have been that the dog was also a sacrifice or just a symbol. But I think that that one was definitely like Ralph or Danny.
Okay, I had one beer while I read that, so.
I love it.
He kept talking about the
It
dog,
was
and I'm like,
so
are you more concerned about Ralph and Danny?
Hey, Darlene would do the same. I remember, and I think Krista would too. I don't
Yeah.
know if
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
right, but I think there was one dog, and oh no, it was in
But you know what? The death of the dog was more visual and kind of like repulsive and shocking versus like the children being snatched. It was kind of like you have to kind of assume that it happened
Yeah.
because of how it's
Yeah.
described. So
And I mean, if you're a dog lover, you don't want your dog to be, like, yeah. Ah, that's funny. Well,
Sidebar: the director of the movie, he did the Annabelle movies and he wrote
Ooh.
both of the It movies. So pretty
it's gonna be good then.
has a pedigree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
Yeah,
reputation
might
to
be good.
maintain.
mm,
I also wonder, assuming one of the little boys did get snatched in the wood, if one of the boy from the beginning is like the surviving brother, and he's gonna go back to like battle whatever took his brother. I don't know.
that's what I was assuming, because when he was confessing to the priest, he's like, that was a lot. I'm like, what else would be a lot besides
I
seeing?
wonder, yeah, I wonder if the younger brother survived because that would be more of a guilt trip, like, oh, because of me, like bugging, like my brother had to take me, and then we were in the woods, or vice versa. It could be the older one, like, hey, I wanted to go visit this friend, and my brother ended up coming, and then they got snatched.
This one has too many books.
Pretty interesting so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When y'all were talking about the dogs, I was like gonna jump in and say something, but you guys were talking so fast.
Go
I
ahead.
I agree the death of the dog was like very serious and sad, but just because of the way it ended, where it said holding like the figure of a child, I was more fixated on that. But then Rico kept bringing up the dog. That's why I
I
was
totally
like, wait.
missed that part.
And that's why I
so-
thought he hadn't finished reading, because he at the beginning seemed to have no recollection of the child, like in the in the arms or whatever. And I'm like,
That would have done the same thing. I would have been like
yeah.
automatically distracted because it happened first.
I also wonder if there's how many vampires there's going to be, like if it's just going to be like one or two main ones, or if there's going to be like an army of them with a leader.
Hey, it never said how Ben's former wife died, right?
Motorcycle accident, but
No,
it didn't say much
but-
more than that.
That's all it said, right? It just said a motorcycle accident.
Is that a real death or is that the made up one? Dun dun dun.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wonder like
She's a
if
vampire.
Ben is the vampire too.
I
That
was
would
just gonna
be
say that.
a
I was
major
like,
plot
what is
twist.
he?
Vampire.
Yeah,
He sacrificed his wife.
and she's buried in the house somewhere. That's why he wanted to rent it to write his book. He sacrificed her to another vampire to reach eternal fame and glory.
Do you think the pages was enough? Like a good
Oh, that's a good amount. Yeah, I just had to finish today because I did not read like usual on the weekend.
Yeah, me either. I thought it wasn't doable, but it's not tiny. It's like big enough and
Mhm.
like detailed enough that you don't get too lost besides the characters.
Yeah.
So I think it should be good.
All right. What's the next section, Julie?
Chapter 4 to chapter 7.
Stop at 7.
Stop at 8. So
Oh.
don't read 8. Read 7. So you're good.
Oh wait.
I'm wondering if we should stop where it says part 2, but I don't know if the audio says part 2. I think they just say 8, right?
Let me see. The parts are actually in there.
They are.
So, Yeah,
Okay.
part 2, see.
Oh, okay. And then it's 8. So we could read, what do you guys think? Should we read that one page? Or I feel like this is connected to what's happening next. So we could just stop at part 2.
Stop at part 2, I think would be good.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's that?
Page 182 for me, but it's maybe different for you. Do you want me to find it for you?
Oh wait, I think I see it. Oh yeah, I see it. Just kidding.
We'll see what happens.
Sorry, guys, I'm folding laundry.
That's fine. You want to show us your unmatched socks? Your chonies? Your You're like, no. Ramon's clothes. What is, what's on your head?
The face
dry-
mask?
the dry,
Is it the dryer sheet?
the dryer sheet.
The dryer sheet. Wait,
Now
no.
I have
Dryer?
toner.
Oh.
Day. Huge thing. Now I'm trying to tone it to fix it.
Mm. So I watched Smile, and there's also
Oh, I
a
watched it
house.
too.
You did?
Yeah, I watched it
There's
last
also
night.
a house on fire. So I'm just like,
Oh, for the house on fire, that kind of reminded me of the end of The Shining. And then also, I wonder if the original owner of the Marston house was a vampire, or did he get like possessed or controlled by a vampire because he killed his wife with a shotgun or a gun. Sorry, I forgot to bring that up.
it's
In fact,
interesting.
there's so many like mini stories within this. plot.
Yeah. It's a whole series, like actual episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an hour long of Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. Because really.
Yeah, at the beginning I was super bored. I was like, I don't know if
He
I'm
fell
gonna be able
asleep
to.
2 times.
I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read this. And then I read it and it was good so far.
Yeah, my mom was over, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go read in the room." Okay, and then I told my mom he's gonna be asleep. I think he was.
Like the part where you guys said they were in Mexico, I was like, I have no recollection of that.
The dog was
It was pretty short.
Yeah.
I feel like the only part that was really interesting about that was when you read the article about how everyone disappeared. But everything else maybe will be make more sense once we know
Later.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. We'll see. So far, so good.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad.
I like it, but so far I don't like it as much as Misery. So we'll see.
Really enjoying The Shining
I didn't like Misery, so I really hope it doesn't go that route.
from the book club Stephen King. I have to say I've liked The Shining so far the best.
Oh,
Question.
yeah.
This book is what made Stephen King go popular?
I thought it was Carrie.
Carrie,
Like his first
his
book.
first book, just from the start, he just like made it.
Carrie, then Salem's Lot, and I think The Shining was the third one, right? I think
Well,
it's
Carrie, the movie was made in the 70s.
Okay.
I don't know how soon after he wrote the book.
Because I
but-
thought this one was
and
the
so was
first
The
book.
Shining, actually.
Yeah, I thought this one was the first book because I remember we were talking about it when we were gonna vote and we were pitching the books. But Carrie, because I have like this is the remake or the what do you call it? The renewed,
Yeah, mine has a list.
reprinted. That's the thing.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
he
yeah.
has like everything on here. So like from the beginning where it's like Carrie and then this one and then The Shining.
Well, we should read Carrie eventually, so then we can do like first 3 and see.
Yeah, but I was just like, because everyone knows The Shining because of like the movie
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I know that's like a like very pop culture, you know, like
Mhm.
everyone kind of knows The Shining.
Mhm.
So I'm like, was that the book or was it his first book, his second book? I don't know.
They're saying that Carrie's sales were bolstered by the 1976 film, and it was
Okay.
published in 1974.
Okay.
So I don't know when The Shining came out. I feel like basically those movies like
are the
Oh,
ones who,
made
like,
him
who-
really big, like beyond
okay.
the book.
And I think at least for The Shining, Jack Nicholson was also, or is also a very famous actor, so maybe that
Mhm.
helped. Versus The Shining, like it is a very good Carrie, sorry. Carrie's the first original movie is a really good interpretation of the book, I think, but I don't think there were any big name actors in it like Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
Sissy Spacek was like, I think she got an Oscar nom for playing
Oh, for
Carrie.
Carrie.
Wow, I had no idea The Shining came out in 1980. I thought it was earlier.
Oh, wow.
So it was Carrie 1976 and then The Shining 1980. And his first book came out in 74.
So I guess he didn't really get famous right away. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane.
And I'm sure he has so many books. I mean, mine does not have the full list because it's an older edition, but
Yeah.
it's still like over 20.
He even has one where, you know how they sometimes go off of like by a different name? It
Mhm,
says he wrote as Richard Bachman.
mhm.
I had no idea. It's crazy.
Yeah, everything I've read by him I've really liked. So I'm hoping this one, or assuming this one will continue the pattern.
There's so many. I don't know if I'm gonna.
Yeah, this is only the second book.
Carrie and
Yes.
Aftermath.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which I feel like, I guess
So
it
I
could
guess
go that
most are-
way with like, who else? Well, not really the Hunger Games. Oh, maybe.
Someone gave-
I was thinking more of like the Netflix one, like P.S. I Love You, and To All the Boys I Loved Before. I feel like her sales went up after the movies. Because I feel like a lot of people didn't really read them. They were like teen books. And then that's when I saw more people actually reading them and seeing them like reselling them.
Mhm.
But I
Well,
don't know.
what's so interesting? Thank you, Judith, for saying that, because in the author talk, Silvia Morena Garcia was talking about the subject of genres came up a lot because the moderator was saying like, oh, some people say like they don't know what genre to put your book in, and she kind of was saying that like her publishers just put a label on it because they have to label it as something, but it might not necessarily be that genre. And so since she writes a lot about like history things and gothic things, she kind of talked about like the history of genres a little bit. And she said that at the beginning there was like a lot of romantic books. And I have to find my journal. I think it's in here. Romantic books and one other genre, like prior to like the 1970s. But then after 1970s, like the genre that took over like traditional gothic thriller was horror. So I think horror, like culture wide, became like really big, like in American culture at least. And I think that's when a lot of like the classic horror movies also came out. So maybe that's another reason for Stephen King's success, is just the timing happened to match. And there was a larger interest in this new genre of horror, because before you wouldn't see like such gnarly things
Yeah.
here. Except the Roaches.
I feel like before then it was more like dystopian or sci-fi, maybe. Like if you were gonna have a genre that wasn't like your traditional fiction
Mhm.
or like romance, like you said. But yeah, I feel like there's books that now we think of as horror, like Dracula or like, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a genre really until like the 70s, I feel like, in the late 60s, maybe.
She said that in the 1970s it was the rise of horror and romance, as in the romantic comedy, versus gothic stuff, which was more popular like prior 1970s.
Was he the reason?
Could be.
I don't know, man.
Definitely part of the rise.
Yeah.
Exorcist also, the movie came out in the 1970s, I believe. So there's just like a bunch of movies that came out.
I know about that one too.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's another big one from the 70s.
And the one about the house, right? I forget the name of it, but my mom.
And in the late 60s, it was the movie Psycho, or Psycho, and then also Rosemary's Baby. Watch Rosemary's Baby.
All right,
Sounds scary.
on the list.
A recommendation for you guys. Watch
Is it
Rosemary's
scary?
Baby.
Scary?
It's pretty scary. Unlike The Exorcist, it's actually pretty scary.
The Exorcist, if you watch it with the right lens, is actually really funny.
Yeah.
Whoa. 8 out of 10. What would you rate Smile? I
I
wouldn't
haven't
know.
seen that one.
I thought it was scary, but also I think the end, like the monster was kind of weird. Like it didn't make
It was
sense.
creepy. I thought it was
Like,
creepy.
I
And
wish
I'm
they
just
would have made it different, like more, like not like what they did. I thought it was kind of like, okay, so I don't want to say in case people are gonna see it, but
yeah.
and also they totally ended it, so there'll be a sequel, which is annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I liked the main actress, and I definitely screamed a few times. So
Yeah. So I was gonna say, because I went with my sister and she kept covering her face, and I'm like, yo, like this isn't scary, stop. But there was moments where I was like, oh my gosh.
the
what's
jump scares were pretty scary. Like it wasn't scary except for those jump scares, but I thought the jump scares were pretty. I jumped.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's pretty good.
I think Barbarian was better. Go see Barbarian
I'll write that one down too.
if it's still in theaters.
Oh, it's a new movie.
Yeah,
Oh.
I saw that like 2 weeks ago. I thought it was better.
Oh. I do like scary movies.
Barbarian. Whoa, I didn't hear about this. Why is that?
That's okay. I didn't know any of these were movies either.
I just really like how Smile was like everywhere, and I'm like, is it regarding that movie? It's so cool.
They were showing that trailer in 2021. I remember seeing that trailer like
But
a year
I
ago.
saw that once.
Super brief, right? Where you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what even? I don't remember what movie I was watching with my sister, and we were like, is this a joke? What even is it? Like, who would even watch that? And
Then they got you.
we were laughing because we're like, remember when we said what even is this? And now look at us, literally like a few days after it came out, like we're watching it on a Monday. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, so funny. Oh,
I tried to do the creepy smile, but everyone told me I just look like I'm smiling like normal. Like I couldn't be creepy. They were like, no, you can't do it. I'm like, well, guess I can't. Guess I can't. I guess I can't be in the movie.
I feel like I used to do a creepy smile when I was younger.
Me and my brother used to make faces when we were little, and I can still do some of them. And whenever I do them, Corina's like, "Don't make that face."
Stop.
Not his
They
best.
should have cast you in the movie.
I know, right?
That was probably the audition. Can you do a creepy smile? You got it.
But didn't
These for like the people that were smiling, not really doing anything else.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll watch it. I feel like it was a good start to spooky season. I'm gonna try and stay in that genre.
Has anyone seen Hocus Pocus 2 yet?
Mm.
I like it.
I feel like I need to rewatch the first one.
It was good, yeah. It was funny.
I did watch Blonde.
Oh my god. I hated it so much.
I didn't like it.
was
I didn't like it.
awful. Worst movie I've seen in a few years. Absolutely terrible.
I'm confused why. And yeah, there's moments where I'm like, these clips just kind of break and cut here and there, and I'm just like, what is going on? Yeah.
I only watched
torture
15
porn.
minutes. Only 15. I thought it was too disturbed. Like I didn't like it was like glamorizing abusing women. I feel like.
She was like crying, and I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
The things they made her do in that movie were like, there was no point.
No.
It was like not like, we get it. She was abused and it was terrible, but she did all these other things in her life. Like she wasn't just a victim. That's not like someone's entire life. You're going to do a biopic and you're just literally showing them being tortured constantly. And it's 3 hours.
Was it really?
Yes.
No wonder. I was like,
Terrible.
I felt like it was
Terrible. I hated
long.
it so much.
Yeah.
But I watched the whole
Fire.
thing. Oh.
Yes.
No, it's a drop of blood.
Oh, I thought it was.
No wonder it felt like there was commercials in between, but there wasn't, obviously. Oh my gosh. That's a oh yeah, I got a 5.6. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go take a shower.
Bye. See you next week.
Yes, see you next week,
I drew a little
everybody.
vampire here, and Rico thought it was a crying vampire, and I'm like, no, it's a vampire with a drop of blood.
Oh my gosh, that looks like a little like not a tie, like the collar.
A bow tie.
Yeah, those are his teeth, right?
I shouldn't have filled them in.
That's what I thought. That's adorable.
And you gotta draw like little bat wings, and it'll be.
Aww. Okay, well, I'll see you guys next week. Read
Next
4
week.
to 7. Don't read 8.
Sorry,
Let's see if we get vampires.
Alright. Yeah, I want them to come out. We'll see. All right, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
night.